this evening did not go as planned by any measure here, so forgive me for the fact that, quite honestly, behind me looks like a wreck. It's literally a slapdash. Here we are. But anyway, ooh, definitely on another night of, oh, excuse me. I have to make sure that a few things are definitely done burning. But anyway, so we're in another evening of live tarot and oracle readings. If you are new to joining, I again apologize for my background. Definitely had to more or less do everything as quickly as possible when I realized that I was on top of 6 o'clock and not ready for my live. Definitely one of those days where I'm sure you've had them where time gets away from you, but background is gonna lightweight kind of make me a little twitchy, so I apologize in advance if I seem a little loopier than usual. But how our lives here work is I offer collective readings for the next half hour or so, but one-on-ones are always welcome. They are $15 for 10 minutes, or a single card is $5. There are no free cards. I do apologize, but that is kind of the way it is. If you would like a one-on-one, definitely make sure that you look at either the chat or the description for how to send in your payment. Those can be sent to CashApp or Venmo to the name in the chat and in the description. Once you comment paid, and whether you use CashApp or Venmo, then we'll definitely go from there. But as far as collectives, I'm not gonna lie, I am definitely looking forward to the collectives for this one, because I am going to hold off and not do any of the eclipse readings until tomorrow night. Definitely make sure that you tune back in for that, because I'll be doing a 12 sign eclipse reading and have that posted about 7 p.m. tomorrow. But for our collectives, and actually also for tonight's offerings, we have my handy dandy tarot deck, my Goddess Guidance deck, and my Lenormand. Tarot is good for pretty much anything from spiritual guidance to career to love to everything in between. The Goddess Guidance deck is an oracle deck, which is, I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely good for your thought jump starters, and I also use it for towards the end, where I give us a parting things to think on card, if you will. And my Lenormand is definitely better for your more practical questions, whether how to handle a situation at work, or if you need guidance on how to gain information about something, or even just how to start getting a couple steps forward in a direction on this plane of existence. Now, as far as tonight's collective, and I'm not gonna lie, I am actually probably gonna be making tonight's a lot shorter than typical, because I've been doing a lot of studying for my Theta class this weekend, and while it's not fair to you guys, I do apologize. It's been taking some energy out of me doing all that studying on top of my usual work, so I'm definitely going to try and get to 6:30 to the best of my ability, but I will apologize if I need to cut off sooner. But for our first collective, let's see what all we can do to, you know what? Because this moon is actually in Pisces, which is a lot to do with wrapping things up in our life, because it's actually the 12th sign, but it's also about working more with our intuition and really letting our emotions flow a little more freely, because Pisces is a water sign. Let's see what all we can focus on to make sure that we are not leaving any loose ends, because I've had the Ten of Swords pop up in a lot of readings lately, which is telling me that we have a lot of necessary endings that are overdue, and more importantly, when it's been popping up in reverse, endings that just are long overdue on actually getting done. So for those of us that have some things that are just lingering and not really able to let go of, let's see how we can start getting those leftover energies out of the way so that we can start moving forward. Goodness. And apparently my cards are all too happy to oblige with my request here, because right off the get-go, I've actually got two groups of 3 that popped out. So apparently this is what we need to do to really get focused on getting those necessary energies that are just not serving us anymore out of the way. And the next thing is what we can do to actually get those things going. But I always say that this is definitely more of a when we get those energies out of the way, because I've got an upright 3 of coins, an upright 10 of coins, and an upright devil card. So what does this tell me? I'm glad you asked. So this is telling me that once we're getting rid of those energies that are just no longer serving us anymore, our personal 10 of swords moment, if you will, where we're getting rid of junk that it's just not serving our purpose. It's not aligned with our highest good. Once we actually get those out of the way, we're going to see that our relations with our co-workers, people that we work with a lot, whether on a career level or on a personal level, because our co-workers are also the people we live with. They're the guys that help us build our homes, if you will. We're going to start seeing improvement in those relations, and also improvements in our material life. 10 of coins is all about achieving those goals, getting that job that we've been dreaming about, getting that level of material comfort that we all enjoy. But we're also going to be discovering where we also have other unhealthy attachments when we start getting rid of those surface ones that we already see and know that we need to get rid of. So how can we start making sure that these things actually come to light, where we actually see that relations with our coworkers are getting better? On a materialistic level, we're doing better than we have ever thought we possibly could, and starting to see those other unhealthy attachments in our lives, because there's always an unhealthy attachment, okay? And I'm not talking like a curse or a spirit or anything like that. I mean things that we are attached to that are comforting for us, but don't necessarily serve our highest good. Example, one of my things that I have an unhealthy attachment to is quite literally junk food. I use that as a comfort whenever I feel like I am just not able to handle life. And I know that that's an unhealthy attachment. So it's never necessarily anything that's actually terrible for us, but things that we can consciously agree that, you know, it's something that we turn to even though we know it's not in our best interest. So how can we start getting that 10 of Swords moment in our life so we can have all those good things I mentioned? First off, we've got a reverse King of Wands here. That's telling me that here's what is something that's been tripping you on your face, okay? You are so sure that you know the direction you need to go. You are so sure that you are definitely expressing yourself in the best possible way. In reality, I'm sorry, but it looks like you're most definitely not, okay? With what you're doing right now, your words are not landing properly. There's a lot of miscommunication on a next level type, and a lot of people are looking at you like you're a tyrannical jerk. And I'm not trying to bash anybody by any measure, But the thing is that what you're doing is not landing right, and the people that you are trying to lead are not wanting to follow you, quite literally because of how you're coming off and how your words are landing. So you need to move forward, okay? You need to leave the idea that you need to lead behind, okay? You need to move forward and start looking at what are your real goals? What are you really wanting to accomplish? And more importantly, what are you really wanting to accomplish in your emotional and spiritual life? Because once you're able to leave this behind, once you're able to realize that your words are not landing wrong, that you need to take a few hundred steps backward, okay? And restart yourself. Relearn how to communicate with the people around you. Relearn how to generate those creative ideas that help you actually get to your goals. You're going to start seeing that you're going by leaps and bounds towards those goals in your emotional and spiritual life, which is actually going to help you in those areas I mentioned, where if you start actually looking at those negative attachments and those things that just aren't serving you anymore. This right here is the biggest thing that you need to start letting go of and realize that it's time to let go of, so that these things that I mentioned earlier can happen, okay? Now, if you want something a little bit more personalized for yourself, please feel free to either set up a one-on-one here. Oh, hi Scott, Brittany, Dekty. Thank you for joining us. But if you would like a more personalized one-on-one reading on how to start leaving that reverse King of Wands self behind, definitely feel free to catch me either during today's live or use the link in the channel to set up a one-on-one. Readings are definitely, I would say usually good for most schedules, because typically those openings are anywhere from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. But yeah, wow. I mean, I always knew that my readings are a little on the rougher side as far as how we can start turning our lives around and get things in a direction we want to go, but wow. Cards are being a little cheeky today with that whole, hey, yeah, start off with just realizing you need to go backward to go forward. But I'm pretty sure we can squeeze in one more collective before we do the meditation card. And just a quick reminder, I will be live only for the next 15 or so minutes. And I think for our next collective, we're actually going to use my Lenormand deck. And I kind of want to see what our lives are going to be looking forward to over the next few days. Now, how that works is I actually grab a card for, we'll say, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, okay? I'm going to see what the main energy of those days are going to be and what we're going to learn from those days with these guys right here. Because while Lenormand is definitely more of your physical plane type cards, they do also let you get a pretty solid idea of what you can look forward to. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to my Lenormand deck, you will actually notice that each and every one of these is actually intended to be read. Oh, goodness. A couple of these actually got turned upside down on me during the shuffling. Just a moment. But Lenormand, I actually intentionally set it upright. Because, believe it or not, but Lenormand actually does have what some would consider bad cards, bad energy cards. The snake is about dishonesty and trickery. The fox has a similar energy, but it's actually more about deception. Full-blown intentional deception, if I'll be honest. So, let's see what we've got to look forward to for our Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and what we can look forward to learning from those days. All right, so got Thursday already. Wow. And how about Friday? Whoa. All right. And Saturday. All right, so right off the get-go with my Lenormand, as far as tomorrow, definitely plan on, ironically, it's going to be a day where information is definitely not going to come clearly, and it's going to feel like quite literally everyone is trying to give you some level of miscommunication, misdirection, make you feel like you're seeing one thing, but it's actually something else entirely. Think of the wolf in sheep's clothing, if you will. The fox in your hen house. And speaking of house, a lot of it's going to be actually in your home area. So I don't necessarily mean like actually in your house that you're going to have to worry about people being dishonest and just not forthright with a lot of information. I'm meaning more along the lines of where you feel most yourself. And if that is at home, definitely watch out for a couple things not landing right and not coming out the way that you feel like is in the most honest and best good. If this place is actually at a friend's house where you are most yourself, definitely watch out there. But either way, definitely plan on where you are most yourself, things not coming with all the honesty that it typically would for tomorrow. As far as Friday's definitely looking a little on the rough side, because right off the get-go, as I mentioned, whenever I read my Lenormand cards, I intentionally have the entire deck upright. So the fact that this guy came out in reverse, I definitely see that on Friday we're going to be dealing with a lot of disillusionment, okay? Usually this card is all about wishes coming true, being able to actually manifest the things that we desire most in our life. We're going to be having a lot of disillusionment and feeling like none of our dreams are actually going to come into fruition. But here's what we're going to be learning from it, okay? I've got a reverse double staircase, but an upright sun card. So what that's telling me is that while we're not going to feel like we have any choices in ensuring that our dreams actually come to fruition, we're going to feel like all of our choices are in the trash and we're stuck in the world we live in. What we need to realize, and I'm sorry, this is actually the star card, but what we need to realize is that there is a guiding light, that there is a purpose to these feelings. And I want to say that a lot of those feelings and a lot of that purpose has to deal with what we saw in the previous reading, where instead of feeling like we have to make sure that everyone's listening to us, and instead of having to make sure that our world is going the way that we want it to, sometimes we need to stop and we need to listen to others, take in those other ideas and hear those other dreams and see what's going on there. And last but not least, on Saturday is going to be interesting, because it definitely looks like we're going to be doing a lot of work with our imagination. Right off the get-go with our Saturday, we're looking at the child card, which is all about, using those imaginative skills that we used to always use, getting in touch with our innocence, being able to look at our world and go, okay, I can shift that way and turn this pile of sand into a sandcastle. But where we're going to be seeing this the most is how we're networking with others. So it definitely looks like over those next few days where you're looking at how things are not always as they appear and how dreams sometimes need to get shifted a little bit, it's definitely going to be a lot of networking, a lot of changes in your world over the next few days. Oh, and actually, this is probably the fastest half hour I've ever had. So, Definitely love to know what's going on in the time frame scheme of the universe, because wow. But because our time is unfortunately already almost done, I will definitely get to our meditation card. I definitely apologize again for how quick everything seems to have gone, and definitely how things are definitely a little loopier than they typically do for my lives. God's willing, next week will be a heck of a lot better and a lot easier for all of us. But as far as the card that I'll be leaving you guys with this evening to kind of chew on and think on and start being a little bit more in tune with your higher self. I actually like this. So we have a reverse Maeve and an upright Diana. So the energy that we need to unblock, the energy that we need to start actually working with instead of against. With Lady Maeve, typically her message is honor the cycles of your body, energy levels, and emotions. So that's telling me with her coming in reverse that we aren't really actually honoring our cycles as far as our energy highs and our energy lows. How our bodies are constantly in motion and constantly going almost like an ocean, if you will, with the tides going in and out. And whoever left that like, thank you, by the way, highly appreciated. But we need to start realizing that we do need to start honoring our bodies and our energy levels and our emotions, because nothing ever stays in a stagnant state. It is always an ebb and flow, an up and a down, a left and a right. So we need to start really recognizing those cycles and honoring them and start playing nice with our personal energies instead of constantly pushing for that extra 5 seconds of whatever just because we can. Because obviously, and I'm a prime example, not good. But how can we work with that? That's where Lady Diana comes in. Her message is keep your unwavering thoughts, feelings, and actions focused on your target, and you will make your mark. So start actually learning your personal biological, emotional, and mental cycles, your personal biological and mental energy levels, and making sure that you are staying on track with yourself as your goal. And you'll start seeing that your energy levels are actually starting to stay more steady, that you're actually able to throw your energy where you need it, when you need it, instead of running on fumes. Start learning yourself as a whole as a priority, and you're going to start seeing that a lot of your goals become a lot easier than they used to be. But that is all I have for you guys for tonight. I do apologize one more time on how kind of slapdash tonight was. Definitely not my intention. If you've been here before, you know that usually it's a lot better. So hopefully I'll see a lot of you again soon. If any of these readings helped you all, please definitely leave a like. It definitely lets the algorithm know that you do enjoy me and would like to see more of me. But until next time, have a fabulous evening. I'm praying for all of you, and definitely send good vibes my way, because that theta class, if just the studying portion has been kicking me in the balls, I can only imagine the actual class itself. I'll see all of you later.